What up, YouTube? I find it only fair if I'm asking you all to get in a contest that's going to reveal some fairly intimate details about your life that you may or may not want to share or just are apprehensive about, that I should do it myself. Not just give an overview, just go through everything. No, I don't have the criteria in front of me, but I can. I'll try to do this differently. I won't go 1 through 6. I'll do a little different, just because I'm trying to do it off the top of my head. And I just did a video, like literally just did a video, only moments ago, as they say in the business. What obstacles have you overcome? Or what trials and tribulations in life are you trying to get through? Mine would be depression. As some of you know, there are times when I just do not give a flying fuck. Yes, that is absolutely awful to say when you've got a 4-year-old daughter and a family and people around you that care. But there's times when it just doesn't seem to matter. That the weight of the world, while I'm not somebody affected by Ebola or something of that ilk, where I've got just dire financial straits where I'm living in a shanty or a van down by the river, that the problems that you face on a daily basis, hourly basis, while they may not seem in the grand scheme of things something that's incredibly tumultuous in your life, they are what either drives you or derails you or consumes your thoughts. And as minuscule as those things may be in your life, that you think, okay, well, hey, I'm not dealing with any of this other shit, it's still a burden to bear. So that's one. It started, I guess, with my dad dying, 1994. We were about to move back to Ely. We had a house up here, and he was a carpenter type fella, very, very handy with woodworking. Still have a bunch of his toys that he made us as youths, and he was gonna help fix up the house, because the house was in very I don't know, I'm not gonna say suspect shape. The inside needed to be basically redone. It hadn't been inhabited in so many years, but it was a prime location, and it was a great price. So that was, I don't know, it was about a month or two beforehand. He'd been in the hospital he drank far too much down there. He'd done it before, got off of it, and then Superior restarted, because again, just the pull was too great, and he smoked like a chimney. So those two things, and having already a bad heart, that ain't gonna help. Was in the hospital a month or so before that, and then it must have been, because my mom had told me the story, the actual story. That's the first time I'd heard it last not this past October, but the one before. We went down to Oshkosh to visit my brother, and she had told me about just everything about leading up to that point, which never, and I'm fucking 34 now, I never heard at that time. And she had found him in bed, or he wasn't moving, and touched him and just ice cold, and felt for a pulse, and there's nothing. Called the the pastor and called the ambulance or the cops, and pastor had come over. And it was like 7 in the morning. We were woken up, brought down. Again, it's still, as Mike said, Gath man. You can go, fuck, it's been 20 years and it still feels like yesterday. The pain will never go away. But just knowing how much he enjoyed watching my brother and I play sports B. He was 54 when he died. I was about to turn 14, so there was a big age difference there. But always active, always wanting to do something with us in sports and watch us play, and a lot of times push too hard, but at the same time that made me push harder, made my brother push harder. So, but then just knowing that wasn't going to be there, you weren't going to have just any of the future shit that was going to be there anymore. That was just incredibly tough. And then you add his funeral, and we were packing too. That's the worst part. We're sitting there fucking trying to get out of the house. So you go from 4 people helping to 3, and then the main person that's gonna help or to renovate the house, he's gone. So dealt with that, and I mean, at the time, you had a month of rushing around to move. So you go, again, 2 people that can drive a car, the cars that we had, and move up stuff, to 1. So we had to get our grandma, my aunt, I don't know who else helped. Because again, that whole month was a blur. Birthdays weren't even celebrated that year. School started in a month. So try to get back into that. Go on.
I passed it.
Good job. Practice snapping.
And I'm almost getting the hang of it.
Good job. So, and I don't even think it was till February or March before a counselor said, "Oh, so your dad died?" I'm like, "Yeah, in August." "Oh, I thought it was more recent." Like, yeah, well, August is still recent, that. And they're trying to do their, and school counselors are, I don't know. For me, it was just junk, because the guy asked how you're doing. It's well, I guess I'm okay. And that it was basically about it. So, I mean, there was no real grieving process. No real time to just sit there and reflect. I mean, we had the funeral, his family came up. They all said, we'll be there for you guys. And none of them were. Not a fucking one. And I still hold a lot of resentment to this day to them for the lip service they paid. I've tried to get in contact with, when I was on social media, I got in contact with his, would be sister-in-law, I think, down in Iowa, and some other relatives. The one that I never got a friend ad from was his brother in North Carolina that promised. He's like, I'm gonna get you down to Charlotte. We're gonna watch racing. I'm gonna bring you. Nothing, not a fucking thing. Just fucking assholes. And so that was the major thing there. And I mean, through high school, yeah, senior time for our last game for football, it was so hard then. Again, 99% of us, probably 100% of us know we're not going to do anything past high school sports wise or of any significance. But again, senior day for football, we don't have like a parents thing where you get the parents walking you out or whatever, but you get announced as a senior, pointed to the sky. But after losing that last game at East Central, just inconsolable or unconsolable at just. And then you had how many people constantly saying how proud your dad would be of you. So that didn't help at all. I mean, I know they meant well, but at the same time, that when that's all that's on your mind and that's all you're thinking of, and all of a sudden that 3-4 parents come up to you and say that, it's tough to deal with. Same with like graduation, and yeah, it's a whirlwind, but that's the only thing that's going through your mind. It's like, what would it be like if Dad was here? But that eased as I started coaching right after high school ended football, and I don't know, it's something you liked. I love coaching. I love teaching football. I'm teaching, I guess, life stuff too, just to have the bigger picture in mind. But so I did that. Unfortunately, fell for a girl. Got the heart broken by the girl, and that was the first time I put myself out there, I guess, in 3-4 years. And that just, just that and everything coming back from my dad and what he would have thought of everything, and that was, I mean, I'd thought of suicide on how many times, and then I had a plan for it. The plan got waylaid because people, I think, caught on to what was going on. Got taken down to Hibbing. Good job.
That was fast.
Mm-hmm.
Really fast for playing basketball.
Go play more basketball.
Okay.
Spent, I don't know, 3-4 nights down there, which it was good. I won't say a mental hospital because it wasn't a hospital. It was the 5th floor of a hospital, which was the mental quote-unquote unit. It was good just to get away and not have to listen to people, deal with people. I mean, I got phone calls from a lot of people, but I just, and I always say this, it doesn't seem to matter how much you have for folks in your corner, how much you have a support system, what you've got for goods, possessions, monetary wherewithal. It doesn't matter. That was one of my last rants on Facebook, is about Robin Williams. It's so many people being so negative, saying, "Oh well, he's got this, he's got that, he's got more money than you know what to do with." Fuck, you can have all that shit. If there's something in your mind that always says, "Oh, that's something. This isn't good enough. This isn't good enough." Oh, but you're the funniest person alive. Something will say this isn't. It doesn't matter. People just don't understand that, and that's the worst part about mental issues or mental health. It's not something you can see. There may be times you can be like, "Oh, he doesn't look like he's that happy," or a little more sullen than usual, or the voice you can tell is a little more flat and, I won't say lethargic, but on the same lines where it just there's no emotion to it. And there's subtle hints like that, or where maybe music changes. You go from listening to Elton John, Backstreet Boys, Vanilla Ice, Cool Mo D, to going to listen to Garth Brooks, Trace Adkins, Alan Jackson, Blake Shelton, or just more sullen music, more of the grunge type stuff too, or heavy stuff, or real heavy metal. Again, it depends. Whatever you're into, you might flip the script, and it just. But those are some things you look at. Being a something that you say, "Oh man, this something's going on with such and such." Everything's sort of changing, but it's slowly and subtly. I mean, pick up on those keys, because a lot of time, even with that, people say, I told people all the time, "I'm all right. Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about me." So after Hibbing, it's better for a while. Better. It's still, it goes, it's, I don't want to equate this to a period for a woman.
Yeah.
But it's sometimes
Well,
feels like once a month, maybe a couple times a month, that you just hit these lulls, these lows, and you just sit there, and there's more time for self-reflecting and self-questioning than there should be. And again, my problems aren't nearly as dire as anyone else's, but it's just, they're my problems, so again, they're paramount in my universe. And I still think of that all the time. It's like, again, going from the hibbing part, going afterwards, you still think of that stuff. Even though I talk to like a therapist every week, and then I was on medication. I don't even remember what medication. But you still think of that stuff, and there's times you just sit there and think, and if you allow yourself to think too long, thinking might turn into action. That's where, again, it's good to have some sort of quote-unquote team to sit there and not judge you. That's the worst part, when you hear people say, you don't have it that bad. That's, fight through, power through. No, you need people to just sit there, listen, and say, hey, I'm here for you. You let me know what you need me to do for you to help you. And we'll do everything in our power to get through this. That's what you need. You don't need people that are condescending or judgmental, and that's, again, with mental illness. You just have too much of that. So yeah, I was able to meet Teresa. Stuff hasn't been going well there. That's why you'll see a lot of gaps between videos. Or just to say it's on the rocks is one way to describe it. So that's always constantly in my mind, what's going to happen, and especially with Naomi, that I worry about her more than myself. That now and down the road, because again, depression is something that's run in my family, and if I've got it as bad as I do, I just hope that she knows, and I'll tell her when as she gets older, and I tell her, now if she ever feels sad, let somebody know, and give her a hug and make her feel better, and just cuddle or whatever. And so yeah, that's, you just think and the brain is powerful, but boy, is it a fucking enemy. It can be your worst enemy. Your mind can be just the best thing you've got, or the most powerful. Well, it is the most powerful, but it can just be a fucking bitch. And so you just sit there and think. But again, remember, people are there for you. And if people aren't, find people that will be. Find people that are going to be there. Other things that have opened up wounds or been unhealed wounds. 2 years in a row about the same time, 02 and 03. I think, I don't remember which one happened first now. I think it was whenever Daryl Kyle died. It was the same day. I got a call about 3:30. I bet you when Girardi went out, I was watching the game. I bet you when Girardi went out to announce that the game was postponed, that Daryl Kyle had passed away. I bet it wasn't 5 minutes later, I got a call from the guy that collected Bettis. I talked about him in my previous video. Collected Bettis, Curtis Martin, Terry Glenn, Falk. And he's like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, nothing. What's up? Or no, it's my other friend. And he's like, oh, Brian's got something to tell you. She's like, okay. And I'd heard the ambulance the night before, about 3:30, 4 a.m. go out. And this is a family I'm ultra close with still. I mean, I consider his parents like a second set of parents because how much time they spent with us, either bringing us to Duluth or just feeding us. I mean, God. That he's like, oh hey, I get what's going on, because by this time I'm nervous. Like, what the fuck? You can sort of hear people not crying, but there's commotion in the background. It's at my buddy's cabin, and said, oh, Frankie died last night. That's his, and that was his brother. Brian's a grade older than I, or a grade above me. We're about 6 months apart in age, and Frank was, what would he have been, 3 years older. I mean, that's like the older brother person, because I mean, we'd always play the NHL '96, have tournaments in that game, and I mean, that's all we do for hours before they went out and binged, and we sat and played more or whatever when we were younger. And so I said, I mean, it's like you get the gut punch from Daryl Kyle dying, because I enjoyed watching him with Houston and then with St. Louis. And anytime somebody in sports dies, you sort of feel that connection, especially if you watched them for a good while. And then hearing that, just I'm like, what? Are you serious or what? And he's like, yeah. Again, you're trying to process everything. And I mean, you can't. You just can't. No matter what you try, it's just like you can't. You're sitting there like, this has got to be a fucking dream. This is a nightmare. It's a fucking bad dream nightmare. And no, it wasn't, because he said it. No, how many times he had told us, if you're gonna drink, stay where the fuck you're at. Be safe. That way, nothing will happen. Just drink, you can get loaded and fucking stay at a house that you're drinking at. He went up on the Echo Trail and decided to surf on the hood of his truck, and the person that was driving was drunk. Misjudged a corner and slammed on the brakes, turned the truck, and Frank went flying off and cracked his skull on a rock and pretty much died instantly. So that was hard. And it still is. So going over to their house later that night to see how they were doing. One of the toughest things I've ever had to do. Especially when I just seen him about a week before, I think, at a party at his place and BSing with him for a half hour. So yeah, well that was tough. Obviously, it still is. That's been what, 13, 12, it'll be 13 years. 13 years on June, I think 18th. So that was a tough summer. And then the next summer, my brother's classmate, and I'm good friends with the whole family. Their sister slash daughter passed away, car accident, raped, not 200 yards from her house. Somebody said that dropped something in the car and she went to pick it up, swerved, and then swerved back, and then whatever vehicle was in the other lane swerved to her lane because they thought she was going to go in the other lane and not correct, and basically smashed right into the driver's side and pushed the car into a piece of a ledge rock there, and I think she died instantly, and she was only 16. So just knowing from the previous year that a great family friend, or a great family that I was friends with, lost someone, now that a year later the same thing's happening, man, it's like, fuck you, God. That's what you want to do. This is what you want to do, is fuck you. I mean, I was pissed. Pissed and just fucking upset and sad, and it's like, what do you... And again, there was the same... One of the other family friends of the guy that died in the truck accident, that they're real good friends with this other family too, and we saw each other at that funeral, and just broke down. I'm like, this is fucking bullshit. And so I think that's where a lot of my... I won't say I dwell so much on the past, I just don't let the past go. And unfortunately, it affects a lot of who I am today, which I don't want it to. I've tried a lot of things to let stuff go. It's just let the past be the past, and you can't. I can't. I just sit there and think far too greatly of a lot of this shit, and I've brought some stuff up to that family that we go over there every Halloween, and I make sure, so they can see Naomi, that we spend about an hour, 2 hours. It's our last stop on Halloween. That I've told them how many times, and this Christmas is the first time I gave them a card. I wrote just a long note inside a card. Letting them know how much they mean to me, that they meant to me, that that I consider them family. That I still think of Frankie all the time. That I miss him. That I wish we would have got more pictures of all of us together, just even fucking around and playing, like I said, NHL '96. Because again, a lot of people back then, we took the pictures, but it was with the film. Not like today with the digital camera or cell phone. You just don't have those pictures. And what I wouldn't give. That's why, again, if you see me at Nationals and I say, let's get a picture together, that's why. So that's, I guess, the first part. How do I deal with all this? Obviously, whether it's my responsibility or not, if you will, I put a lot of the burden on myself, no matter what it is. If I can't find the answer, if I can't find the answer myself, I struggle obviously with it. Um, and that's basically if I'm in molasses or I get thrown a monkey wrench that gets thrown in, that for work I'll just power through no matter what. I'll say fuck it, I gotta do it. But then when it's more the emotional stuff, it's a torment that again very few ever see or ever know. um, Music wise, I have, and I don't want to say the most, because I'm sure there's somebody out there that'll listen to more than I've got a greatly diverse catalog, if you will, of music. I can listen to One Direction, Elton John, the Bee Gees, Elvis, Beethoven, Bach, Blake Austin, or Blake Shelton. Austin's probably my favorite song of his. Five Finger Death Punch, Metallica, Megadeth, GNR, Beastie Boys, Hammer, Nas, Tupac, 2 Chainz, G-Eazy, Shine, Garth Brooks, Trace Adkins, Kelly Clarkson. I mean, it's Josh Groban, Sam Smith, Ed Sheeran, Taylor Swift. I mean, if it's something even defined as pussy as that, some of that stuff, if I feel a connection to it, I will listen to it. If it helps me not even get through, if it just helps me in some way, shape, or form. If I'm depressed, I'm tired, I just say fuck it, I want to listen to something. Turn it on. If I can fall asleep to that, it's helped me. It's helped me for the time being. So I mean, I'm not a very picky person. The stuff I hate is the country music when you're singing about your dog, a bar, boot scooting boogie type stuff. More of the deep meaning stuff really resonates with me, and I feel a connection with it. So, and then I'm thinking I'm probably missing a step in all this shit too, but favorite wrestler from a kid, or as a kid. Favorite wrestler easily, Ravishing Rick Rude. Second, Mr. Perfect. Third, the One Man Gang / Hakeem. Fourth, Iceman King Parsons. Fifth, Dino Bravo. Sixth, Bad News Brown. I did like the Warrior, not to the point of a lot of you guys. I did, when he passed away, when I watched the speech Monday night, Raw, after last year's WrestleMania, I was nearly in tears, and I'm like, this is way too eerie. Of him talking about closure and things coming full circle and all that. And then next morning, wake up, have a text message, Warrior's dead. It's no. That's not. No. Not after all this bullshit. He finally got his moment in the sun. The accolades he deserves, as much as he's a pain at times, and we all are. So Vince McMahon's no saint either. He can paint a picture, but it still looks like shit to half the people. And I mean, you just keep going through the week. You look at the torch. You look at fucking all this shit, and it's like, it can't be. It just doesn't. No, that's no. And then Monday Night Raw the next week, they have the 10-bell salute. Oh, I just broke down. I was fucking crying. Unfortunately, that was all they had. I thought it would be a great tribute show, and it was a decent one. But when that 10-bell salute hit, I was blubbering. Just blubbering. As I've done with many wrestlers that we've lost. DiBiase would be another one of my favorites, but when Boss Man died, Louis Spicolli died, Hennig, Hawk, Perfect, Rude. I mean, everyone that's died. It's just Dino Bravo. I was young when he died, but knowing he was gone, I'm just like, oh, that's one of my favorites. The Canadian Strongman. Macho Man. I think, Tom texted me on my phone then too. I don't know if I was on. He might have. Tom and Sam from one of the other sites. I think he called the phone and Teresa finally answered. Probably 6, 7 calls and texts, and what the hell's going on? She called at work and said, "Hey, Tom and Sam Banks and a couple other people have called and texted and said Macho Man's dead." And I'm just like, what? So that was another tough one, but I take death incredibly hard. If you've made it through this, another one of my fucking hour-long dramas. If made it through this far, you know that death and I do not see eye to eye. So I figured I'd put this out there. Again, if I'm wanting you guys to dig deep in your soul, spill out what you've got. I should mention too, when my 2011 got back from TNA house show over in Bemidji, must have been early April. Started coughing, cough. Fuck, that thing lasted December. First year in the moons I got a flu shot. Christmas time I felt went out to my aunt's, uncle's for a family Christmas, got back. Man, I do not feel good. And so it was Christmas the next day. I felt decent enough then. And then the next day I just felt like unmitigated shit. And so I missed work for 3-4 days, maybe 5. Just fucking sick. I'm like, okay, Tuesday go back to work. Like, I feel okay. Sweating a bit. Hopefully that's just sweating out the rest of the cold. Wednesday I get there. We unpile freight off pallets. It's one of our freight days. I'm doing it. I'm just slow as fuck. I mean, I'm like, wow, I'm not moving quick and I'm sick. I feel dizzy. Got through that day. Slept probably the rest of the day. And then the next morning, tried to get up out of bed. I fell over. I'm like, oh fuck. Something is direly wrong. Tried to drink. What the hell do I have? Maybe some Tahitian treat? Smart me. Let's have some fucking pop in the morning. Not orange juice or water or milk. Let's fucking have pop. Drink some down. Fucking not. 30 seconds later, I'm just puking. Just puke. Just sweating. I mean, I've never sweated so much in my life. And I've been in the Philippines. That, just sweat. Fuck. So got brought up to the hospital. The ER. And, the genius doctors we have here. Oh, you probably just have the flu. I'm like, I think it's more than the flu. The next day, I'm up in the ER, I think in the afternoon again. Saturday, I think I was okay. Sunday, I had to go back to the ER. Monday, I was back in the ER. I think Sunday, the doctor's like, oh, you just need to drink some Crystal Light. Or Friday, one of the days. They're like, just, you need Crystal Light. I'm like, I can't fucking hold water down. How the fuck am I going to hold something else down when water's supposed to be the most neutral of all beverages? Monday. And then my mom went with too. She's like, he has been throwing everything up. He can't stand. He's fucking dead tired. Something's wrong, and it's not just the flu. Something. So we got an appointment down in Duluth. The ear, nose, and throat guy, hoping that maybe some of the coughing shit was a underlying condition. It was a sinusitis. But I got morphine from the doctor on Monday, and that didn't do anything for I had the worst headaches. I was taking 8-10 Advil at a time. At a time, not a day, a time. 8-10 Advil in a handful and swallowing, and there's no relief for my headaches. Light was killing me, sound was killing me. Food I couldn't even eat. I had no appetite. I'm like, this has been going on for nearly a week. I'm like, something's fucking wrong. Nobody, the brain surgeons didn't have any clue. So we went, I was basically dying. If this would have been the other version of the thing I had, I would be dead by now. Or I would have been dead by then. So I went back down for a checkup at the Duluth hospital for the sinusitis. It had cleared up. And the doctor's like, you look like shit. I'm like, I feel like I'm going to die at any point in time. He's like, I'm calling down to the ER. You're going to get admitted down there. We're going to find out what's wrong with you because something is not right. Like, I know. Because my right eye had crossed because the pressure was so great behind it that what the left muscle or whatever controls the right and the right controls the left. Well, I had undone something and now my right was crossed because my left muscle to it wasn't working or something of that nature, and it was just completely fucked up. So they went through all these tests. I had a spinal tap. And that was on a Tuesday. And they admitted me after 6 hours of testing. A CAT scan, x-rays, I mean every test you can have, I had it. And they finally came to the conclusion after narrowing shit down, I didn't have the fever, that's why they didn't figure it out. Viral meningitis. So I had that. I want to say Teresa sent out a mass text to, I don't know, a bunch of you guys, some that still watch the videos. I know Tom. I watched, I think the other day, one video where you had an update about me, and I'm like, fuck, I don't even remember seeing this. But I commented on it, and I don't even remember that. So I had that, and then the next week I was in the hospital for I think three nights. Should have probably been more. But the next Monday they did a different. I had another spinal tap because they fucked up the first one, and this one is even worse because it was in the fetal position on my side. It took 9 times, I think, to get the tap in, so that was fun. I drove to Chicago with a crossed eye for Teresa's passport or visa updating at the Philippine consulate in Chicago, so that was the worst. And then early March it finally got better. So that's my sickness part. Everybody deals with that in a different way, and I thought I was done. If I had bacterial, I would have been dead. So that's everything that I can think of. I don't want to be entered in the prizes, but I just want you guys to know that that's my story. I want to thank you, everybody that's gotten in so far. I encourage everybody else that's watched these and said maybe I want to get in. Just if you don't want to give super specific details, you don't have to. It's just nice having a deeper connection. That's what I feel. Then, oh, I know he collects Josh Johnson. What else do you know about him? He's got a beard. What else? Uh, there. I mean, now you know a little more. So, I hope you enjoyed this. If you stuck through it, thumbs up. Take her easy, YouTube. She's easy. Take her twice.